It's the new cover of Time magazine, out just tonight. Man, Superman, gunman. Three very distinct faces of Oscar Pistorius, who just this week held a private memorial service for the girlfriend he shot and killed, Riva Steenkamp. But as with everything else in this unfolding story, even that was controversial. With accusations, information about the service was leaked to gain sympathy.
Sympathy and outrage both from a country divided down the middle over its golden son. About the only thing people can agree on is that a beautiful and brilliant woman is dead. So all eyes are on what is gearing up to become the next trial of the century, with some finding parallels to the O.J. Simpson trial. Our Amy Robach just got back from Pretoria, South Africa, with all the new details that are coming out every day.
Oscar Pistorius is used to being the center of the world's attention, breaking barriers as the first double amputee Olympian, raking in gold of another kind as the star of several global ad campaigns, and making headlines as one of the sexiest men alive, with a string of stunning girlfriends to prove it.
He liked being Oscar Pistorius.
I gave my best at a great night.
But this month in his native South Africa, we've seen a different Pistorius, getting a much different kind of attention.
He looks finished. It looks like he's aged 10 years. His eyes were darkened. It's really sad.
The Oscar Pistorius story, it's almost like we're talking about two different people because it's so surreal.
He stands accused of premeditated murder in the Valentine's Day killing of his most recent love, the breathtaking blonde model, Riva Steenkamp.
We're going to turn now to the exploding case from South Africa this evening.
Stunning fall from grace for Oscar Pistorius.
Pistorius admits he killed her in his home, but claims it was all an accident, that he mistook her for a burglar.
The state is arguing that they think this was a premeditated murder.
And though the case is still in its infancy, one thing is already certain. Yet another hero, exalted by the culture of sports celebrity, has fallen to earth, leaving us to wonder who really was the man beyond the myth. An inspirational athlete?
It's only a matter of waking up and thinking I can do it.
A cold-blooded killer?
This has highlighted the violence in South Africa.
Or both?
Have you ever seen a murder case quite like this?
Never.
The world is watching.
But to understand the man Riva fell in love with, you have to understand his backstory.
I was born with a bone deformity.
He was missing the fibula bones in his lower legs.
I think my parents just did, as much research as they could, as quick as they could.
They brought their 11-month-old baby to surgeon Jerry Versfeld, who said there was only one course of action.
The decision to amputate was the logical one, and they eventually came to that conclusion, and we did it.
His father said it broke his heart.
Now you got to think about it. You're going to cut it off and throw it in the dustbin.
But Oscar's mother worked hard to make sure he never felt any different.
You've got prosthetic legs, that's very nice. Your brother's going to put on his shoes. You put on your legs and off you go.
Well, I think it was his mother who raised him and was the one who endowed him with this confidence.
And just as the young boy was learning to stand on new legs, the country was too. In 1994, Mandela became South Africa's first black president.
Africa!
And as the country took its first steps into a new era, Pistorius became the first disabled boy admitted to this exclusive high school in Pretoria, as his headmaster remembers.
What were your impressions of Oscar?
I mean, he obviously impressed me in the interview. He was a bright little boy, and even at that stage, there was a lot of charm and a lot of charisma. My major concern was he going to be able to integrate into the school?
There were problems in the beginning.
Oscar talks about being teased or hazed. When he first got there, that some of the boys stole his legs and then put a fire, I guess, in the dorm, and he felt like perhaps he was being hazed. Is that just part of boarding school life?
That's just being a boy.
In the end, Oscar flourished.
Our concerns were totally groundless. I mean, he did everything that any normal little schoolboy would do, and in fact, perhaps more.
But when Oscar was only 15, his mother died of an allergic reaction to medicine. The boy was devastated. He took refuge in sports, playing rugby for 3 years until an injury sidelined him. And then his old doctor made a fateful suggestion.
Yeah, I said to him, look, you're good at running. Why are you getting injured at rugby?
He had braces on his teeth. He had terrible acne. He was very shy.
But boy, could he run. He won his very first race competing against men with 2 good legs.
One of the Paralympians took him a pair of running blades and said, well, let's see how fast you are on these. He strapped them on, he ran 100 meters and found he had broken the world record.
Only 8 months after he started running, he won a gold medal at the Athens Paralympics, breaking a world record.
That was probably like one of the biggest moments ever. It was really overwhelming, and I was pretty happy about it. So
when he runs, it's poetry in motion. It is just amazing if you watch him running. And I just was totally enthralled by this.
And a boy, still only 17 years old, suddenly thrust into the international spotlight.
How did things change for him at school?
You've got a 17-year-old who suddenly is adored by the world, and all these girly magazines, and everybody was just taken by this very charismatic young man with no legs.
Around the same age, Riva was a brainy girl growing up in Port Elizabeth, riding horses and thinking of law school. But already so beautiful, she was getting calls to model. Still, compared to Oscar, her life was quiet. His fame only intensified when he started competing internationally against runners with 2 legs.
The fact that he was competing against able-bodied athletes I thought was brilliant, and I think it was a real turning point for Paralympic sport.
Coincidentally, just then there'd been a breakthrough in the technology of athletic prosthetics, the carbon blades known as cheetahs that made it possible for an amputee to run more like an able-bodied person than ever before. His new nickname, the Blade Runner.
Pistorius has taken about 10 meters out of the rest of the field.
But with his fame came an unexpected controversy.
International track officials banned Pistorius.
In fact, they're worried he may be too fast.
Pistorius's cheetahs should be considered technical aids.
Did the prosthetic legs give Pistorius an extra spring in his step? Was the South African wearing cheetahs a cheater?
I think that they were worried about the fact that the prosthetics were giving me an advantage.
Finally, after a long fight, he wins the right to try out for the regular Olympics.
To be able to compete against what he called able-bodied athletes was huge for him, because that's the way he saw himself.
As his fame grows, Pistorius transforms from sports star to cultural icon. He even goes on the Italian version of Dancing with the Stars. His message is an inspiration to millions, redefining our perceptions of the disabled, of the relationship between technology and the body, and of the limits of human achievement. Time magazine names him one of the most 100 influential people in the world.
If you want to do something, you put your mind to it, and you want to do it, then you'll get it done.
Off the track, Pistorius commits himself to numerous South African charities aiding the poor and the disabled. And after years of training, his goal was finally realized as he became the first disabled athlete to compete in the Olympics.
So Pistorius has a good target.
Where Nelson Mandela can be regarded as the father of our nation, Oscar Pistorius was the brother, the one who really made us proud.
That was the public Oscar, the man Riva fell in love with. But was the private man a different person altogether?